everybody? This is Jim, Mr. X. Happy Championship Saturday here. Roll Tide. Gonna play tonight against the shoe throwing Gators. That's our story. Gonna address something that's been on our minds lately. Last few months, last few years really. We're not gonna do a watch along today. We're gonna address some things in wrestling that we don't really agree with. I do have a list, not registry, a list. I'm going to start with, we're basically going to talk about problems that we see in wrestling today compared to basically what we watched growing up. Mr. X is going to address a lot of these. We're going to have some categories. First one is cooperation. Seeing a lot of things that makes basically exposing the business here. I'm going to list some things and have Mr. X kind of dive into it. Duck the clothesline.
Oh yeah, duck the clothesline. These kids. I mean, I don't know how many times I see you're watching a match, and they're gonna do a spot, and everything. I can just imagine them saying duck the clothesline. So when you start the spot. And you're going to see it a lot, where somebody's going to go running at their opponent with their arms to their sides, with their head stuck down, and run at them for maybe 4 feet. Before the opponent will flail their arm way over the top of their head, and then they'll go into whatever spot they're going to do. And it's pretty bad because, I mean, I know we'll talk about this later, but you can duck a clothesline every time when the guy's going to throw it at you, but you can't get out of a way if a guy's running all the way across the ring and diving out to you on the floor. But anyway, but yeah, it's just, it makes it look stupid, you know.
It does. I concur, and you can see what's going to happen. It's blatant. Okay. Second thing is you're basically handing your arm or whatever to your opponent for a throw or some sort of thing.
Yeah. So basically, you see it a lot either at the where you get pushed into pushed your back into the ropes or into the corner, and then you'll see the person whose back is against the ropes stick their left hand out, giving it to their opponent so they can take it and then throw them across the rope with a whip. Again, it looks so stupid because it's so obvious that you're cooperating with each other, and it's there's no semblance of a competition at that point.
You're absolutely right. Again, it's not good. Okay, kind of touched on it a couple minutes ago about dives. We're just a couple categories on that one. Okay, you see it a lot where. And you know the spot's coming. Either a bunch of people are being thrown outside, they're fighting, all of a sudden they stop. And then you see them start to come a little closer to each other and come a little closer. Now they're in a big cluster or a group. And lo and behold, somebody's coming off the top or jumping over the top rope or whatever into the group. And so they're gonna catch them. You see it a lot. It's not real. It looks hokey.
Yeah, it's sad to see. Like you said, you can just start to develop. You see these guys on the floor and are, like you said, they're getting closer and closer together like a big cluster, and all of a sudden you know someone's gonna jump off the top rope or over the top or whatever, and it's just stupid.
Agreed. While we're on the subject, it kind of doesn't fit a category, but we're going to address it here since we're talking about dives. Seems like every match, no matter whether it's WWE, Ring of Honor, AEW, Impact, Japan, doesn't matter. Seems like everybody's doing dives over the top rope or through the rope, suicide dives. It seems like that's happening in every single match or a couple times during a match. Every single time. It's a way overused. It should not happen.
We watched the '96 Survivor Series. Was that the one we were watching and talking about it?
Yes, 96 Survivor
And
Series.
what, there was like no dives onto the floor where someone was waiting to catch the guy? Zero?
Yes.
For the whole show.
A 3-hour show. Not once did anybody do a suicide dive or a
Where
dive
someone
off the
caught him on the floor.
That is correct. Now, we did see some moves where the guy died, but
Yeah, Mark Merrill took a bump to the floor where someone moved and he actually burned on the floor, which that's fine. That's not that's not cooperation. That's actually makes sense. Someone's diving on you, you can easily move out of the way.
why would you want to grab him?
Right.
Exactly.
Now it's a stupid spot. I think it's dangerous what they did, but it makes more sense.
It's more real.
Yeah.
Why
Why wouldn't you move out of the way if someone's running across the ring to dive at you?
been one of those weeks, folks. I agree, Mr. X. We're old school fans. I mean, we grew up watching this stuff when we were kids in the 80s, and it's sickening, frankly, to watch it over and over again. And the current crop, they don't like criticism because, well, I'm just going to say it. Jim Ross, an announcer for AEW, who was considered by many to be the greatest wrestling announcer of all time, or one of them, he kind of called out his own guys in AEW for doing this too much, and they did not like the criticism. Well, too damn bad. Because, he's right. They should take lessons learned from the past and apply it now, but they don't want to do that because it's all about showing yourself off. That's what it's about. It's not about storytelling. It's not about this. It's just horrific. Now we're going to talk about moves that expose the business. Shout out to you, JC. 3 of the big ones. And Mr. X does not like this one at all. The Canadian Destroyer.
Oh God, the Canadian Destroyer. Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't think it's actually the worst, but it's up there with the worst of them, where it's obvious that you're cooperating with your opponent, quote unquote, in the ring, on this move. It's stupid. None of these moves should ever be done.
The other 2 that really expose it are the Spanish Fly, where you're both on the top rope, and you're basically both of you guys are doing basically backflips onto the mat.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens' move, the pop-up power bomb. It is so hokey where you're basically running off. You're gonna hand your arm to the opponent. Since we're talking about this, folks, we're gonna have fun in the show here. You're gonna throw him in the ring. The opponent comes off. Kevin Owens is standing there. The opponent's gonna jump, and Kevin Owens is basically grab him and send him down for a power bomb. It's so horrendously bad. It's not even funny. It is horrific. And this is what we're talking about, folks. And I'm gonna bring up one that kind of hurts me to say, because we both love this guy. Mr. X had met this guy. I unfortunately never did. I'm talking about Rob Van Dam. And I'm talking about the Van Daminator and the Van Terminator. Look it up. Basically with the Van Daminator, he throws a chair at the guy catches it, and he throws a sidekick to the guy's face with holding the chair. Well, why is the guy going to catch the chair?
Why wouldn't you just move out of the way of the chair, right?
Again. Why
wouldn't you sidestep the chair? Yeah.
And again, this hurts us to say because we both love the guy. We both love his work, but that's one that's just not good. And the Van Terminator is a move that Shane McMahon stole from him, and he calls his the coast to coast. But it's where he has the guy set in the ring, in the corner. He has a chair sitting on him, and he goes to the not opposite, because that, although Rob Van Dam, if he tried, he could probably do it, but he goes to the other corner on the same side. He comes off from the top and does that. Well, why is a guy going to sit there holding the chair or trash can or himself with, like,
Right.
why would he do that?
If you were that prone for that long, that for him to walk all the way across the ring, climb to the top rope, and then stand there posing and jump off, why wouldn't you just pin the guy, right? In that amount of time.
That is true. And I'm a good segue.
Yeah.
You must have done this once or twice, huh? We're gonna talk about unnecessary selling. We try not to use these kind of terms, but this is kind of this. We made this list. We're kind of last night and today. We just got kind of fed up with it. So I'm gonna bring up one. Basically flips after the clothesline. We watched Raw. Folks, it's in our SmackDown review from a couple of weeks ago. We did a review right after that, and we talked about this exact move where John Morrison basically flipped about 4 times in the air after taking a clothesline. I mean, he did barrel rolls in the air. Horrific.
I mean, there's a bunch of those, like The Rock when he took the Steve Austin stunner and he went flipping over and like it looked like he was gonna fly out of the ring. I'm like, come on, dude.
Yep. And there's a ton of examples, folks. We're not trying to pick on anybody. I'm bringing up Devon Dudley. The way he was selling after moves, not good. Like he would be flopping around like a dead fish. You know it. Oh man, that hurt my head there. Oh.
I think you just watched that match between Shawn Michaels and Hogan, right? I don't know. I don't know what that was from.
That was from.
Was it SummerSlam?
It was a WrestleMania.
Was it WrestleMania or was it SummerSlam?
No,
well, Michaels wrestled Hogan once, right, on pay-per-view.
You're right. That's right. It was Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania 19. But Michaels and Hogan somewhere, yeah. I know what you're saying. Michaels was flipping around like a fool for Hogan. Now some of you could say, hey, he was trying to sell for Hogan, but Mr. X has a different idea about that.
He was trying to submarine Hulk Hogan. He was trying to make him look ridiculous. To me, I mean, it's my opinion. Just my opinion.
Amen.
Just my opinion.
Another one, and I'm gonna get to some of these. And the other one that we talk about is the Tower of Doom. Now, for those that don't know it, this is my biggest one that I stand. Basically, there's somebody on the top rope, and somebody else on the top rope, either trying to suplex them off or whatever.
Basically going for a superplex, right?
Yes, and then another guy is going to come underneath the bottom guy and basically powerbomb both of them off. Which is not a problem, but the problem is...
Well, it's a lot of contrivance to set it up, first of all. That's a kind of a problem, too.
And it's taken too long.
Yes.
You're right. But the problem, the biggest problem is the guy that actually standing on the ground or in the ring, delivering the move...
Doesn't even take a fall.
He doesn't fall, but now he's selling it like he took a move or something. Talk about exposing it. It's not good. Not good at all. Wrote a lot of stuff down. The Ric Flair flip and the Ric Flair face drop. Comedy spots, hokey, horrific. Basically, if you don't know the Ric Flair flop, it's basically where he takes a move or whatever, and then he basically walks backwards for about 2 or 3 steps, and then he falls flat on his face.
You ever seen somebody fall flat on their face in the UFC?
We did it one time.
And what happened? What did the referee do immediately when the guy fell straight onto his face? Fight's over. You got knocked the F out, and that's it.
Well, I was gonna.
Or if he did fall like that, the guy would just jump on him and finish the fight right there. So that bad. It's a bad spot.
Man, you're the king of segues today.
I'm just saying.
I got something going. I got something I got to say right after that.
All right,
Way to
it's
go.
unscripted, whatever.
Basically leads to this. Anytime we're seeing a kick to the head, enziguri, or a super kick, or a bunch of super kicks, yeah, talking to you, young bucks. If you get kicked in the head or anywhere in the face right here, you should be out cold. Why it's not a finisher, I don't know, but it's horrific. You're basically saying you can go on the street and get kicked in the face, and you'll be all right. That's not how it works.
Not only that, you won't even be marked up or cut, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which leads me to punches. Punches are illegal in wrestling. We all know this.
And there's a good reason why they shouldn't be used, and you can explain why.
Okay, if you get punched in the face or head, number one, you're gonna most likely get knocked out, or you should be staggered.
Or your mouth's gonna get busted, or you're gonna have a broken nose,
Or you're gonna have a black eye.
cut.
You're gonna be marked up somehow. And second of all, the guy punching you, he's gonna
If he hits you on the top of the forehead, he's gonna
have a problem with his hand. But we don't ever see that. We just see the guy receiving it, doing whatever, and the guy's like whatever. And the referee should be acknowledging that. But we got a whole separate section about refereeing.
As an aside, I think Jim Ross tells a story about that when he was a child, and he believed it to be real when he was young. And his father, he was watching a match with his father. I don't know if it was live or on TV or whatever, but father told him, son, he explained to him that, about how, he said, son, I don't care, I guess Jim Ross's dad was a bigger guy too, but he said, I don't care how big this guy here, hero is. If I stand up there on that top rope and I wail away on him 10 times in a row in a face with a right hand, he's going to have a mark on his face. I don't care how tough he is. So that goes into saying what you're saying too.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple other things and then we're going to move on. No selling of a move. We know it happens all the time, but it's not believable. Because if you deliver a move, the other person should feel it. No matter how hokey it is, they should be feeling it.
Stuff like eye pokes.
I was just coming to that. Man, again, the king of Segway today. Not the scooter, not the
SEGUE, maybe is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I was thinking of the scooter that.
Yeah, that's
Simon.
That's SEGWAY though. That's different.
Yeah, but I wasn't thinking of the scooter. The Segway. I was thinking of the Simon system when Simon Dean had his little scooter. He called it something. I forgot.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, well, that was a horrible portrayal of somebody. Anyway, that's another story. Hulking up. That kind of goes into the no selling.
Sure.
That's the biggest one of it all.
It works into your punches to the face too, because during some of his comebacks, they'd punch him in the face and he'd shake his head. Like, punching the guy in the face, I'm sorry, he's not gonna.
And then he would,
yeah.
And he would go, you.
Yes, and he'd block one right first, but whatever.
And then he would deliver punches back.
Yeah,
Again,
right.
It's not.
Right.
But back to your eye pokes and low blows.
Yeah.
They both go with the
blows.
same thing.
Yeah.
Folks, if you ever been poked in the eye or hit yourself in the eye, and for all you males out there, if you're ever getting low blowed or somehow get hit in that region there, you're not just gonna pop up after a couple minutes. You're gonna be down.
No, it stinks.
Alex Snell tells a story about low blow, about the same exact thing we just said. You're gonna be down. You're gonna be down for a while.
And Roddy Piper's eye poke thing comes from a real life thing where he saw in the locker room with, I think, Larry Hennig, where when he was a young boy, Piper said he saw somebody popping off and bowing up and getting on Larry Hennig's face, and Larry Hennig, he came right up to Larry Hennig and he just poked him in the eye, and guy just stopped immediately.
Mhm.
Yep, his eyes were tearing up, and he stopped in his tracks. So yeah,
It does, you know, and
you can't build muscles in your eyes. Yes.
or your groin.
nether regions. Yes. Correct.
Yes, I agree. Okay, we're almost done with this section, folks. Okay, realism versus real life fights. Okay, you should not be doing any move that you do not see in a MMA fight or in a real fight. Okay, you're not going to see people jumping off the top rope in a fight in UFC because there's no ropes. But they wouldn't allow that anyway because that's against the rules. You're not gonna, hate to say it, but you're not gonna chop somebody in a real fight.
No.
Okay, everybody loves the ooh and the Ric Flair woo and all that stuff. I just, it's hokey.
Yeah.
There's one guy that I've seen that does not ever throw chops.
Yeah, Randy Orton.
Very good. Yeah. He does that because it's not realism. Which leads me to,
well, don't get us wrong too. It's not about being realistic as much as it is that, okay, we know we're not watching an athletic competition, but then you also know you're not watching a documentary when you're watching The Walking Dead. So what we mean by realism is in the context of the rules that the presentation is giving to you. That's why it kind of burns me up when Vince McMahon will proclaim it sports entertainment. It's pro wrestling. Because you can call it whatever you want, but guess what? You're doing it inside a wrestling ring. You're wearing wrestling tights. You're wearing wrestling boots. You have a wrestling referee. It's pro wrestling. Yes, you're entertaining people, but the reason why it's pro wrestling is because that's what it is. And that it has to fit within the parameters of that. And when it doesn't, that's when it's unrealistic.
now I know it's a little side, but I think it's important. We've talked about it before. Tell me about the whole stay in your universe lane.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like if you're watching The Walking Dead and after season 8 you see a vampire show up, you're gonna call BS. Or if you're watching Happy Days in the early 80s or the late 70s, and you see a 78 Corvette in the scene, it just undermined the entire thing.
It's not fitting in that universe or that timeline.
And it blew the entire story. You're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
You didn't follow your own rules.
Yep.
As long as you follow the rules of your universe, you're good. Once you leave that's when you're just undermining the whole thing. Why am I watching this, right? Why am I watching this? It's almost like that Avengers Endgame thing, right? Where we didn't need to do any of that stuff. Captain Marvel could have just shown up and stopped Thanos by herself. Why do we even need the movie? You didn't need any of that stuff, right? You just undermine the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but that's a whole nother subject.
Anyway.
We don't want to go down because
Right.
we might get some trouble.
Yeah, it's okay.
We don't want to go down there. Okay. Which leads us to kind of the real fight, UFC stuff. Submissions, specifically arm bars or ankle locks or knee bars or whatever you want to call it. In a UFC fight, either referee's going to stop it, or the guy is
going to tap,
or the guy or girl, the fighter's going to tap within,
or the horn's going to sound very quickly after it's sunk in, whatever it's going to be.
Yes. They do not get out of that.
No.
Very rarely.
If it's sunk in, I mean, things like an arm and guillotine, even sometimes with a guard, like, after a while, it might be hard to finish.
Fatigue, yeah.
Yeah, but stuff like a Jujigatami or a calf slicer or a twister, RNC, you name it. That's it, man. It's done. If it's sunk in, I don't care who puts it on.
Yep.
It's done. But see, that's the part. In wrestling, you have great outs. Because you know why? In UFC, you can't pin somebody. So if you put a Jujigatame on somebody in wrestling, you can just stack them up and pin them 1, 2, and they gotta let it go. So to break the hold so that you can actually get out of it, right? And then the other advantage is you can get to the ropes to break the hold. But you need to do it very quickly because once the hold is sunk in, you're gonna tap, it's gonna snap. I mean, to use a colloquialism, but
tap or snap.
you shouldn't be sitting in a shoot knee bar or something for like 3 minutes. That can't happen.
And then get up, and then well, you might sell it for a minute or two, but then after like about 3 or 4 minutes, then you're shaking it off like it never happened. This is what we're talking about, realism, folks. Like, it's not good. Couple other things. Old school finishers, not just a move. What we're talking about, a couple big ones, in my opinion. The DDT. Oh crap! What the heck was the other one?
Pile driver is one too.
And the pile driver. If you're an old school wrestling fan, or even if you're new, do me a favor. Look up Jake the Snake Roberts. He innovated the DDT. Some say it was by accident. Some people say whatever. But I mean, that's...
When did he come up with that? Because I know he was working for Ole in Georgia, like in the early days, like the 70s, I want to say, and he wasn't doing it yet. He was doing like the knee lift, like Mr. Wrestling too. That was his deal. He wasn't doing DDT. Was it maybe when he went to work for Bill Watts or Fritz? He wasn't doing it in Georgia.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah, he wasn't doing it in Georgia. I was watching some of his old Georgia stuff when it was him and Mulligan Jr. They were a tag team for a little while, like in the late 70s, working for.
Oh yeah.
Was it the Carolinas or was it Ole?
It was in Carolina.
Carolinas.
We watched some of that stuff from like 80, 81, Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic. Yeah, it was the Carolinas. It wasn't Ole. Sorry.
Well, no, that's good. Now, what I mean by that is the DDT. The consensus is he actually fell when he had somebody in a.
He was looking for a suplex or something. He was trying to do some type of.
It was he had him in a front face lock or whatever. He was either doing a suplex or whatever, and either he stumbled or he slipped, and it went down. Well, after that, he's like, they analyzed it like, whoa, that's a good finisher.
I think there was also something called the Vegas Jackpot or something. Somebody did the move before you.
Was it played? No, Austin Idol.
Right.
It's Austin Idol that did. I don't think he did it.
I don't know. Anyway.
Well, anyway, the DDT was a devastating finisher. That's it. 1, 2, 3. Because, as we talked about before, you're landing on your head. You're gonna get knocked out.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But now it's just a move in a match.
Yeah.
It's not a finisher, and I can't. We wrote notes down, but I can't remember the other one. It's not
super kick.
Yeah, the super kick. Well, again, you're kicking it to the head, whatever. Shawn Michaels used to finish people with that. The innovator basically was Chris Adams, Gentleman Chris Adams in World Class for Fritz Von Erich. That's what it was. Bing bang boom. But now it's just a move. You're basically saying, oh, these guys weren't as tough back then when they got hit with the move because, no, we're not selling it now. Horrible. One other thing. Then I want to move on. We talk about no selling, whatever. Was it Starrcade 96 or 97, Cobo Hall?
Oh, no. Starrcade. No. Was it Starrcade?
The NWO was already around.
No. This was 1995. It was Hulk Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom, basically.
Oh, that's right. Well, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
It was they had that monster truck thing on the roof of Cobo Hall, and at the conclusion of that thing, right before the main event, where Hulk Hogan was going to face the Giant for the first time, the Giant fell off the roof of Cobo Hall, which is, I don't know, 90 feet high on the concrete below. I don't know, the top.
It's probably a good 10 stories, probably.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, so the Giant falls off, right? Well, they don't show it, but he quote unquote falls off.
Sure.
You see. last thing you see is him fall off, and Hogan's like, oh my gosh. And so they introduce Hulk Hogan first in the match, then the Giant comes out. Now, if this guy fell 90 feet onto concrete and he's coming off for the match, I'm sorry, I'm running. I mean, but anyway, you know, obviously, that's ridiculous, patently ridiculous.
I'm booking. Yeah, he
Yeah.
wasn't even.
Yeah.
Even if he fell in the water, he's not wet at all.
Yeah,
But there is no water around them, folks.
yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
But this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We gotta have some sort of realism here.
yeah.
Now,
If it can't happen in real life, it can't happen in the ring.
Now, I'm going to point this out because it was probably one of the most famous falls in history. You're talking about
Oh.
Mick Foley, legitimately,
Yeah.
folks. You
Yeah.
could not.
Through the top of the cage, you're talking about in
No,
I'm
I'm talking about the first bump. When Undertaker threw him off, this was Hell in a Cell 90.
Yeah, but the second one was worse, right? Because the cage, they didn't know the cage was going to break straight through, right?
Yes, but
And there was nothing to break his fall there.
that is true.
And then the chair fell on his head.
And that's what knocked the tooth out.
Yeah.
Well,
So actually, the second fall was worse, you know, I think, for him.
Because the ring was hard
There
as.
was no give compared to that table.
You're right.
Yeah.
But what we're saying is, Mick Foley legitimately fell, what, 20 foot, that
I don't know if
cage,
it was-
15, 80?
Yeah, I don't know. It was high. It was a high
But
fall.
he got thrown off through it. Like, that could have been seriously fatal if he had just missed
Yes.
the table by
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But this is what we're talking about, folks. We got a little bit of realism here. But, you know, as Mr. X said, if I see a man that size falling off Coble Hall and he's facing me, I'm running, I'm getting in my car, I'm driving away, I'm not coming back, Jack.
Yeah, why would you, right?
All right, so that's kind of what we're talking about with cooperation and some kind of hokiness as far as fighting and stuff. Now our second subject is storyline continuity. You want to tell the people what we mean by that?
Well, it's just a lot of things in terms of like week to week. There's like no consistency. Where I'm gonna just go ahead and point out like WWE things,
Sure.
because they come to the mind the easiest. Where like they'll have stuff like, okay, well, one week they're gonna have a narrator to start their show, then the next week they won't. Then they'll have Raw Underground, and then they won't. And then they'll have, you know, then they'll come out. The McMahons will come out in the ring, or you know, Vince and Stephanie and Hunter McMahon. They'll come out in the ring and say, "Oh, we apologize. We know we're doing wrong. We're gonna do better for you guys." And then they don't do anything different. And then they come out and they say the next time they say, "Hey, no, you're the authority now. You are gonna make the decisions for us." Then they don't change anything again. And then they come on and say, "Okay, well, it's time to shake things up, or we're gonna have a draft. We're gonna have a brand split, and nobody's gonna